Hello, everybody loves Raymond. Hello, are we? Yes. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sunday. ELR 360 fans. Excited about today's show. Talking to my friend Bobby Mallozzi, who was an extra and can tell us a lot about what it's like to be in the background of an episode of Everyone's Raymond. Hello, Gil in London. You're not in London, Gil, right? You're just in England. Correct me if I'm wrong. Make some adjustments here. All right, let's see. Good. Hello, Australia. Early in the morning for you guys. Let's type in. Here we go. Let's see. My friend Bobby, sorry, I'm reading. And I was going to say, hello, Toronto. Hello, Bobby. Yes.
Can you hear me, Tom?
Hello, Leo in Toronto. Yes, hold on, Bobby. Let me plug in my microphone here and see. There we go. How do I sound? Great. So, Bobby, hello. Let me say, I usually say hello to a few people. Hello, Donnell, who's been very helpful. Let me move back a little bit. Hello, West Palm Beach, Florida. Much rare. Too bad you can't get Ray in on one of these videos. Yes, we have gotten him in twice now. Bobby, I'm so excited. So first of all, Bobby, it looks like you have a fake background, but that is your bakery.
That's our bakery here in Schenectady, New York. So upstate, about 150 miles north of the city. Nice.
And the city is Manhattan. And for those of you less, hello, Nikki. Hello, Nicole. Yes. Hello. All right, Bobby, I want to take, so just because, Bobby, I don't even know if you've watched many of these. What I tried to do, I was reading I Love Lucy book, a Desi Arnaz autobiography, and I'm like, oh, I wish he had talked to everybody on the show, and most of them are no longer here. So I thought, let me try and do that with ELR since almost everybody's here. And so I've tried to talk to everybody from the craft service guy up to, Brad has been on and Ray has been on, etc. So I thought, I'll go back to the beginning, but you have such a unique perspective because you were an extra on 2 episodes. I know nothing about it. Bobby, are you drinking delicious cappuccino? What are you having there?
It's a delicious coffee.
Okay. We have, I don't know if Teresa has joined us, but Teresa has a Italian restaurant called Tefano's in Chicago. And so, yeah, great. You would know that. All right. So let's go back. Yes, Leo, send Bobby, send me a cake. Yes. It does look fake. All right. So, Everyone's Raymond fans, this is Tom Cultipiano. I was a writer on Everyone's Raymond for all 9 seasons. We're talking to Bobby Mallozzi. He's a friend of mine, and he was an extra on the show. But we met in 1998 or 99 when Ray Romano and I were doing a tour through the East Coast, and we went to a theater called Proctor's, and you went to see us performing.
Correct.
And
yeah,
you actually saw us 2 years in a row, right? Or was it
2 years in a row? Yeah. The second year, we did a little sponsorship of the show, which including in the sponsorship was sort of a meet and greet party afterwards, which Ray was going to attend, and that's where you and I met.
And so I'll just tell the. Yes, we're going to find. Oh, great question, Leo. Sorry. So, Bobby, I have to scroll back to look at all the questions to catch up on. But just to give the setting. So, at that show at Proctor's, which for any of you in the upstate New York area, you'll know, it's a beautiful, beautiful theater, Proctor's Theater. And Ray, after the show, does a meet and greet. Now, Ray is famous, and I am not. And I therefore had free reign of all the pastries. So at one point, Ray was being greeted by everybody was, swarming around Ray, wanted to take a picture with Ray, which meant the pastries were left unguarded. And so I was stuffing my face with these fantastic pastries. And then a woman came over and said, "Are you enjoying those pastries?" And I have a mouthful of pastries when she says it. So I think she's going to say, "Are you enjoying those pastries? Do you think other people might enjoy them too? Like, do you have to eat 2 at a time?" But she didn't say that. She said, "Oh, my son made them." And then she introduced me to you. So you're a complete stranger. We start talking and you say, "Listen, I'm in LA fairly often. If there's ever a chance to be in the background of Everett Raymond, I'd love to do it." So for those, we're talking to all really great fans. Everett Raymond is not like Friends. Friends has background people almost every episode. You have background players. Everett Raymond takes place in the living room most of the time. So unless you're like hiding under Ray and Deborah's couch, there's no place for extras. So we exchange, emails, and every once in a while we talk. And then finally this episode was coming up, which was Stefania Arrives. So do you remember from the beginning, did I say, "Hey, here's an episode with extras if you want to come out"?
It was actually the second. You had called and said there was an opportunity to be on Ferries.
Okay.
And then something happened, scheduling conflict or something, and that got X'd out. And then this one came up, and obviously I had to make the trip from New York, so we had to plan that out. And I think I came out with a few buddies and made a weekend out of it. Right.
So was there an application? Because I have to say this, as a person from the outside, if I wanted to be an extra on I Love Lucy, if I was alive then, if I want to be an extra on as a normal person, that seems like, oh my goodness, I could be a normal person and suddenly be standing next to Jerry Seinfeld. So it's like a dream come true, that you're in show business all of a sudden.
Well, if I hadn't known you, I'm not really sure. I do remember meeting people on the set who were actors, like working actors, who were very excited about having that opportunity to be on. I don't know what qualified them or how they actually got in, but I remember it wasn't like a friends and family kind of thing, other than the young woman I got to sit next to in the scene.
Right. Okay. So then, do you know? What was I going to say? So now you come out. Do you remember? Because we'll get more into that. Do you remember? Do you have to fill out forms? You just walk on the set, or?
Well, I remember just going up to stage 5.
Yep, at Warner Brothers.
So there was a plaque on the outside of stage 5 that had all of the historic movies that had been filmed in there. And it was amazing. You probably would remember more than I do some of those movies.
Yeah.
But the list is long, and it was amazing and impressive. The building was just enormous. And I remember going in and, they had placed us in our spots on the set, which was a little bit surreal because I had never seen the actual set before. And it was much larger than I had imagined it to be. The audience bleachers were much larger. The sets were different than you would imagine them on TV. It looks almost like a real home, and then when you're in there with the lights and the cameras, it's a totally different effect. And I remember it was a little bit intimidating. I just remember being on the set and hoping that I didn't do anything to call attention to myself, because that would have been very embarrassing.
Well,
very embarrassing.
And actually that's a good point about background. So just going back, you mentioned a lot of actors. Well, in Hollywood, you have to get discovered. You end up working as much as possible. But, I think Kevin Costner's first role was playing the dead guy in The Big Chill, so you never know what happens on set. So if you're an actor, you kind of want to be discovered. And the worst thing you can do as a background in the background atmosphere, they call it, is draw attention to yourself. Because I've seen Phil, I've stood next to Phil Rosenthal, the showrunner of Everybody's Raymond, when he goes, what is that person doing on the I remember in the T-Ball episode, what is that person doing? Where? Behind Ray. Switch him out right now. Get that. I don't want to see that person on camera. Now, the person who's doing that might be like, I'm going to make some really good faces, and they're going to realize that I'm probably Brando and Pacino all rolled into one, and now I'm going to be the star of my show. But instead, all of a sudden, they're like, you're not in the scene. So you don't want to screw up, basically. You don't want to, yes.
Exactly.
Now, what are they, so the first time you go on stage, who's talking to you? Who's in charge of the extras?
So there was a woman who had the same name as my mom, Elena, who was guiding us through where to sit. And there was a couple changes. I don't remember if it was her the whole time or not, but there were other people that came in and did exactly what you said, moved people around after we had already been sat.
Okay. So
this is in the pizzeria.
Right. So the pizzeria, for those of you just joining us, I'm Tom Caldabiano. I was a writer on Everybody's Raymond for all 9 years. We're talking to Bobby Mallozzi, who was an extra on Stefania Arrives and also another episode. But you were talking in the pizza scene, and that's when the whole family's in the pizzeria, which, by the way, was very rare. I don't know if it ever happened in the show. So you're there. Elena, who's the second, so she's the second assistant director, is what her name is. So is what her title is. On a TV show, you have a director, then you have the first assistant director, who's known as the first AD, and he's the guy or she's the woman who gets the cast. He has a lot of responsibilities, but he would be for the main cast to be like, all right, Ray, we need you on stage. Patty, we need you on stage. So my guess then is Elena, the second, is responsible for going, okay, sit here, do this, whatever. So the first time, because are you there for a run through? You're only there on show day, right?
Only for the filming.
Okay. And are you there in the morning of the filming? Yes, right?
Well, it was all day because we took a lunch break somewhere in the middle of the day. So it must have been probably 10 or 11 a.m.
So the way you film a TV show is it usually takes, for a multi-camera sitcom, which is Everybody's Raymond, you're shooting in one day, but you're basically shooting in an hour. So it takes a week to prep for this one show night, which, let's say you start filming at 6 p.m. and then you finish hopefully at 9 or 10. But on show day, because the extras, you can't have all these people on stage unless it's a complicated scene. So when the extras come in the morning, they'll be like, okay, here's the pizza scene that you're in. And are you told what to wear? Because you can't wear
No, I remember that actually, because I had wondered the same thing if they were going to give us clothes, and we wore exactly what we wore in off the street. There may have been something that I was told ahead of time what not to wear, maybe nothing too distractive or brand emblems or anything. But no, it was just we wore our regular clothes.
Yeah. And so which is lucky. I mean, you happen to be an Italian guy who owns a bakery, so you're not going to be, I guess I'm trying to think of what would stick out. Logos, bad stripes that cause a moire pattern, which is like, if you would watch talk show hosts every once in a while, like Johnny Carson would come out and they'd go, what, this jacket? Okay. And they would change the jacket on the show because it was causing pattern problems. But I would think, because now looking at the scene and I'll scan some, our wardrobe department, you don't notice it per se, but they're astounding at color coordinating everybody on the show. So the last thing you want is Bobby in his bright purple tie-dye T-shirt, in the background. So then you show up at 10 a.m. and are you thinking, okay, I hope, so once you go, oh, here's the scene in the pizza parlor, are you wondering, like, where's the cameras? Am I going to be on camera? Because let's face it, you want to tell your friends.
Yeah, there was a lot of downtime because every time that the actors would come in and then they would be removed and all the writers would talk about their notes and things, we had to stay there the whole time. So people moved in and out of the set except for us, and we sat there pretty much the whole time. I don't think we moved.
Oh, wow. I didn't. So I know for boys therapy, which is where Frank and the boys go to the racetrack, those extras, there were so many extras in that one that they moved them onto another stage. Yeah. So so then you hung out and then you end up, and we'll tell a little bit more of the specific details, but the idea of you all of a sudden seeing the entire day is great. Like what were you surprised by besides how long it took?
I was surprised how flawless it really went. I thought that there would be a lot more cut, redo, and there wasn't. There was pretty much, they ran through every scene twice, I think, right? I think they ran every scene twice, but other than that, there was not a lot of errors, which I was surprised.
Well, that's the week-long rehearsal of the show. And no, you know, because what happens is, and we've talked about this on this Instagram, you don't, as much as you as a background actor are like, oh, don't let me make a mistake that draws attention. Well, you know, for Brad and Ray and Patty, they want to know their lines because there's so many people staring at you. So the last thing they want as an actor is to let the other people down, you know? And so by the time show night happens, it's usually pretty good. And actually, did you go to the Friends? You never went to a Friends filming, right? Okay.
Never.
But the Friends would sometimes go 6-7 hours. They'd be filming a show and they'd have 2 different audiences in. So then right before your scene, like where were you when Ray comes out to greet the audience and they let the audience in?
I don't remember specifically there. I do remember the scene where Stefania comes in the front door of the house when she's introduced. It's standing right on the opposite side of that front door. So I saw it kind of from the backside, which.
So you saw.
There's no outside.
Okay, so you saw the outside of the house, or you were looking at the inside?
Yeah, standing on the outside.
Okay. And you had never seen Alex. You'd never seen Stefania before, also, right?
Only earlier.
Okay, yeah. No. So then, what is it? It's cool because all of a sudden you're back to being an audience member, right?
Right. Exactly.
And I will say this because we did a table read recently for the multiple myeloma. This fund to help Lorraine Boyle for her cause, which is multiple myeloma, and we did a table read. While you're watching that table read, they're just sitting at a table reading, and it was a Zoom, but you're instantly pulled in by their characters. You know, it's comedy gold again. And so when you see Brad Garrett live, like, it must be great as an audience member.
Yeah, of course. And plus, I had seen the show, so I knew exactly what was happening and whose roles were what roles. So, yeah, it was phenomenal. It was a little surreal.
That's awesome. And, of course, Brad is 6'8", so the first time you see them, and Patty is 5'1". So the first time you see them in person, it's quite something. Okay, sorry, I'm scrolling back through some great questions here, Bobby. Teresa wants to know if you made Zeppeli yesterday.
Oh my God, did we?
Tons.
We made tons. I think we probably 600 or so yesterday.
Yes, nice. There you go, Teresa. 600. And can you explain what a Zeppeli is for those for the people in Chechnya?
Yeah. So March 19th in Italy is St. Joseph's Day, which is also Father's Day in Italy. So we make a special pastry in honor of St. Joseph, and it's called a Zeppeli. And it's a fried cream puff. Looks sort of like a French curler donut. It's fried, then it's cut and filled with pastry cream, a little cherry on top, powdered sugar. Delicious.
Awesome. And what does that go for, Bobby? How do you buy that? Could I afford it?
Yeah. I mean, you can go on the website. I don't know if we're shipping Zeppeli right now, but
Well, by the way, I thought you were going to go live. So Villa Italia, Schenectady, New York is your bakery. So hello in the UK. Hello. Okay, I'm just scrolling backwards as we look through some of these questions. Yes, they want to know if you're provided with wardrobe. And now let's share something that happened only because of you. And by the way, I'm acknowledging someone's hearing there's a clicking every once in a while in the background. When you were the extra on the show, I had only met you, like a couple of times. And I said, oh, my sister's visiting me at the same time. And you said, well, why doesn't your sister go in the background? And it never occurred to me. And my sister's shy, right? Because you're outgoing and all this stuff. So I said to my sister who was visiting me, I go, do you want to be in the background? She's like, okay. So sitting at that table with you is my sister and do you remember her? Obviously that she's sitting with you because, you had some pull there, but do you remember, because I posted a picture, what it was like when all of a sudden Ray walks back and starts talking to two extras on the set?
Yeah, I think it was a little confusing for some of the other extras, wondering why we had some one-on-one contact. But your sister and I, we talked almost the whole time. So even though that we weren't supposed to be heard, they did want us communicating. So we just talked very quietly.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so you're bonding. So yeah. So then, okay, sorry. Here's an interruption. This is a good question. How far is your bakery, Villa Italia Bakery, from Schenectady County Community College?
2 blocks.
Wait, is it closer to Proctor's or Johnny's?
It's the opposite direction, about
okay,
a quarter mile.
So there you go, Meredith. Great question. Oh, yeah, so there's one. What do extras talk about during the scene? Are you told not to make any noise?
No, they wanted us to talk so that it appeared to be realistic. I remember them saying they didn't want us just moving our lips because it would look fake. So they wanted us talking, but not at a high enough audible that it would be picked up.
Okay.
So, yeah, we talked mostly about you guys and growing up and that sort of thing.
A little bit of a espionage spy type of thing where you're interrogating my sister. I see. So, well, what's funny is because I do know that in some productions you're told to say Walla Walla because it just sounds like this nondescript, and it's a very, you're not going to have the danger of hearing a name or something that sparks, because there's something in psychology called the cocktail party effect, where if you hear your name or a discussion of sex or something, you hear it across all the dialogue. So I did not know that they told you to start talking. All right. I'm reading. This is great, Bobby. Sorry. I'm reading a lot of people liking Zeppelis. They are, Andrea, they are yummy. I always get them to honor my dad. And so, by the way, it looks like a dough ball with powdered sugar. Yeah,
sort of.
It's the best way I can communicate it. All right. Let's do this. Scrolling back to this is great. Is the actress who played Stefania as stunning in person, Bobby? What did you think as a person?
Oh, she's beautiful.
Yes,
gorgeous. Yes, she was. We had spoken for a few minutes backstage, and she had cut her finger on something. And I remember going in, finding her a Band-Aid just because I'm a nice guy, and helping her put it on. But she was beautiful. Did you really help her put a Band-Aid on her finger?
That's true. I would open with that story next time, Bobby. Yeah. So Alex, that's Alex Meneses, and she's phenomenal in that role. She's visited here twice, and I do run into her occasionally, but she is about as good a casting as you can get. Thank you, Lisa Miller. All right. My friend is an extra on movies. There was a class before she started working, a basics of what goes on and what not to. Saved by Joy fully. Great to know. Clearly on Raymond, we weren't that worried at all. – Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So, Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So, Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So, Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So, Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So, Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So, Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So, Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So, Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So, Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So, Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So, Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So, Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So, Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So, Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So, Bobby, were you allowed to talk to any of the actors? So
Mm, yeah, I know because out of respect for them doing their jobs, and yeah, it wasn't my place to make small talk. They were working.
Yeah, and I think that just because we were friends, you could have, but it's so intense, the working and the getting stuff done, that there's usually, you run the scene, then Phil comes over and gives notes, and then there's this, and then there's camera blocking stuff. So in general, it's not, you just wouldn't in general, just because of, it's a very busy time. Okay, let me scroll through. Was Bobby captured in any of Tom's photos? Yes, a lot of them. I have to scan a bunch of them because when we were doing the Everett Raymond Our Family album book, pictures of Bobby in the background on the set were not in demand. But now they weren't. So, by the way, Bobby, the one thing that I noticed, okay, sorry, I'm scrolling backwards. Did Bobby get hired because he knew of Tom, or did he have to go through a hiring process? So he got on because we knew each other. And I think to be an extra, it's not hard to become an extra. Do you get paid? You didn't get paid, right? Or did you?
I did get paid, yeah. So we started to talk about that a little. When we first sat down, they handed us a whole bunch of paperwork that we had to sign, whatever waiver it was, employment paperwork, which took a few minutes, and then maybe, I don't know, a few weeks later, a check arrived in the mail.
Did I get a percentage of that for being your agent?
Yeah, it was like $40, but probably still overpaid for my performance.
Wait, was it only 40? Was that about it?
Yeah, no, it was 40. But I never cashed.
Oh wow! And there's no residuals for an extra, I don't believe. Okay, so then you were on twice, so you made $80 then.
No, for some reason, the second time, I don't know if it was because I don't know if I had done it previously or not, but I never got paid for the second one.
Oh,
so maybe
you
can make that call.
Guess what, Bobby? That ship has sailed. Statute of limitations has worn off. Don't even think about a lawsuit. So, Bobby, I have to share. What mug are you drinking from? Is that a?
This is just a
okay.
Just a regular.
So, related, because I've shared this on here before. Ray Romano and I, at the end of season 1, Christmas time, season 1, we wanted to buy Everett Raymond stuff to give to our family as gifts. And CBS didn't have anything. They had like 2 T-shirts. And we said, well, why isn't there mugs? So then after you and I'll share now that you and I are very close friends now. It's 23 years ago, I believe, that we met. And we became, really close friends. We traveled to Italy together. We have a great story about finding family in Italy, etc. About 5 years, I think, after we met, you were asking me also, where's the mugs? Where's anything? And so I said, well, let me call up HBO. HBO owns the kind of merchandising of Everett Raymond. And they said, I talked to whoever the right person. I said, hi, this is Tom Caltabiano. I'm a writer on Everett Raymond. Where's the mugs? Like, where's, selfishly, where can I buy stuff to give to people? Because they keep asking me, and it seems like I'm not sharing. And they said, we're not really interested in making that. And I thought, wow, that's weird, except for they're making $1 billion on syndication, so mug sales. So from a money-making aspect, it doesn't make sense. But I always said to you, like, because you have great Villa Italia merchandise, I'm like, let's make something from the Everett Loves Raymond, which I hope we can someday, because, yeah, I think you actually gave me one of your mugs, and I said, here, let me put it on the set, because it doesn't, it's very benign, but for you, it'll be a cool thing, which I think Robert held it in a scene, which I don't remember what that scene was. Now, all right, Bobby. So Ray said, if you hold back the punches, you'll be the one that gets hit. Random, I know, but when I'm watching, I automatically wanted to post it here. Okay, beautiful. Yes. Funny, beautiful B. Marie. Hello, awesome. There were Villa Italia mugs on the set. Yes, that name is familiar. That's a message from someone named Adrian. Okay, Bobby, there's a little bit of a surprise in your bakery, As you know, because you went to the Emmys with me, I have 2 Emmys. And one of the Emmys, I was in your bakery and you had a bottle of Louis the 13th on display. And I said to you, you know what would fit perfectly in this display case? And you're like, what? I said, one of my Emmys, because so many more people will see it. So much joy from just strangers seeing this Emmy versus it sitting on a shelf in my house. So I flew in. I packed the Emmy in a suitcase. I covered it with foam. I have a cut somewhere. I have a picture. It was cut out, and I placed it in there. And then I brought it to you, and now that sits in your. So why don't you go ahead and show me that Emmy?
Yeah, about that Emmy, Tom.
Wait.
Yeah, it's here.
Oh, I thought you sold it all of a sudden. That's what you were getting to. All right. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
See it?
Yes. There is, and I probably won't be able to pick it up, but it says, you know, Emrose Raymond. Yeah, let me see a wide shot of that again, Bobby. A wider shot, yes. And the image is flipped, too, when you're watching. So if you go into Bobby's Bakery, it's on the right-hand side. Here, look at that, Bobby. And do people... Yeah, I don't know if you can see the engraving. That's awesome to see. There we go. That's the last time I've seen that Emmy.
There was something happened. I don't know if you remember this, but shortly after, I think the local newspaper picked something up about it being here and ran a story in the Daily Schenectady Gazette. That article must have gotten picked up on the wire, because about 2 weeks later, a mutual friend of ours, Amy Jannon, who worked on Everybody Loves Raymond, called me and said, "Are you kidding me? You're in the National Enquirer." And I, what? And she said, I'm at my grandmother's house, and I picked up a copy of the National Enquirer, and there's an article about Tom's Emmy in the Enquirer. And I didn't believe it. So sure enough, they took some liberties, a lot of liberties, and they said that it was Ray's Emmy and that we had supported Ray when he was a struggling comedian, and as a gift, he put it here. So my first instinct, I thought, oh, man, this is going to be, Ray's going to be upset. But not the case, and we got some publicity out of that.
So now that you mention, I remember there's a picture of Ray on stage holding his acting Emmy, and it says Ray Romano loves Schenectady or something. So, yeah, your fear is that Ray's going to read it and go, why is Bobby telling the news that I gave him their Emmy? Yeah. But in fact, it's my Emmy. But by the way, that's why with the news, I'm not talking even politics. Accuracy in news is, you never know, because in 100 years, people will be like, oh, yeah, that was definitely Bobby Ray's Emmy. And I think you had, when the show ended, they were breaking down the sets. And you asked about Nemo's, because you have an Italian restaurant there called Johnny's Italian, with the logo is almost like out of The Godfather, and a lot of other food places in Schenectady. So you're like, the booths and the background from Nemo's Pizzeria would be great to have. So I talked to, and again, the people watching here know that I saved all of the scripts from the wardrobe department, and they're now in my house, and they were going in a dumpster. So as much as I look back and I go, wow, could you imagine having Seinfeld's couch or the honeymooners table? For Warner Brothers, it's just that show ended. Let's get rid of this stuff. It's a very matter-of-fact thing. So I don't know if you remember how that went, but I asked, Ken Ornstein, who was in production, I said, what's going on with the Nemo? And he said, they're so cheap and it wouldn't be worth. Do you remember this?
Yeah, he said they were built sort of just like temporary props, and they wouldn't hold up in any kind of commercial use.
And so you might as well just replicate the look if you were going to go that way.
Right.
But there were props that I said, Bobby, do you want these props? Because my house, I have photos and I'm nostalgic, but not so much about props. But were there any props that you ended up taking that might be at the bakery even?
No, there's no props here other than the mug
Yes.
that was on the show. But we do have. There's a very distinctive painting of flowers that's behind the couch at Frank and Marie's house, and that hangs on the wall at Johnny's, our restaurant.
Oh, okay, Johnny's. Yeah, that's and do people even know it?
I'm sorry, I lost you for a second. Could you
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that
Do
last
people
question?
when they go in the restaurant, do they just go, "Oh, there's an ugly flower painting"?
Pretty much, yeah. There's no plaque or anything.
All right, we'll have to change that. So for anybody in this Schenectady area, if you go to Johnny's Italian, you'll see the. We're gonna have to really up that a little bit. All right, so Bobby, if you could.
There was one other funny thing about the Emmy, though. So after that article in the National Enquirer ran, about a week after that, an elderly woman came into the bakery and said that she was Ray's aunt and that she had read the article and she had driven here from her home in Syracuse, which is 2 hours away, to see the Emmy. And we did clear that with Ray, and it was, in fact, his aunt.
Wow, I had not heard that.
Yeah. Yeah, she came with two of her friends.
Oh, wow. And was she disappointed that it was not, that it was mine?
She was expecting it to be bigger.
Heavier and, yes, bigger. Here's a very specific question. We'll lose the United Kingdom and the Australia audience. Is the bakery near, I can't tell, Pernicas? Penicas? Parecas.
Parecas Bread Bakery. Yes, that's, again, maybe 3-4 blocks.
Oh, okay. All right. 3 or 4 blocks. There you go. Wow, this is a local...
There's two really great old school bakeries in Schenectady, Parecas and Civitello's. They're right across the street from each other, and they're like 100 and 103 years old.
Wow. I know where I'm going next time I'm in Schenectady. I've been going to Villa Italia, and that's only like 40 years old, or whenever it was started. From Leo, a great fan in... How many do people ask about the Emmy very often?
Oh, yeah. I mean, all the time the girls know the history behind it, so they have to explain it pretty often. That's
awesome. I still want to put a picture next to it so it makes sense. From David, thank you for doing these Instagram Live videos. I grew up watching the show, and my wife just started watching it. David, what took your wife so long? And how could you marry a woman that didn't watch Everybody Loves Raymond nonstop? So then, Bobby, was there anything you – first of all, questions like, did you get any autographs from the actors? And I'm going to –
I think you had the scripts from the shows that I was on were all signed.
Oh,
yeah.
We have to dig them up unless they're already on eBay.
There was you know, sometimes you scroll through the guide on the cable and you see Raymond, and I always kind of check the episode to see if it happens to be one of those two. And recently, I think it was Who's Next was the other episode. And my daughter, Chloe, who's 10, was in the other room. And I said, hey, Chloe, Daddy's on Raymond. Do you want to see it? And I got back, no, thanks.
Oh, by the way, this is a great question off of that. Did Bobby have viewing parties to watch your episodes?
I don't know. I don't think so.
It is a big deal, Bobby. You know, like... and by the way, you don't know if you you can be seen in the episode.
Well, strangely, in the pizzeria one, we're almost centered on the two main actors, right in between them. Your sister and I. You can see us pretty much the whole scene.
That's awesome. But you're surprised because you never know.
Yeah, there were some people that were in the scene, but wouldn't be on camera.
Yeah, absolutely. Meredith, again, did you get paid? We covered that. I know extras in NYU films didn't get paid. Yeah, so an NYU student film is going to be much different than a big-time TV show production because you have to get paid. There's a lot of rules for being that thing. All right, Bobby, and would there be anything any other encounters that you remember when you were on the set? And
just on the Stefania Arrives episode, obviously her father was played by David Preval, who's just a huge actor. Mean Streets and Sopranos. So great to meet him.
Oh, and were you able to talk? Because so he ended up taking over the pizzeria. There's probably a lot more downtime with him.
Yeah, his character played such a mean, short-spoken type of guy, and he couldn't have been sweeter and nicer.
And I should say, Bobby in Hawaii is asking, what was it like to walk onto the Warner Brothers lot for the first time? We should tell this story. So there's a scene in Blazing Saddles where they're going out that entrance that by stage 5, near stage 5 at the end. And Dom DeLuise is in that scene. You helped Dom DeLuise do an appearance on a public television show. He needed a pastry chef who was an expert. So you actually introduced me to Dom DeLuise, and we became friends. And
yeah, Dom. Yeah,
and we ended up visiting him a lot when you came out, and we actually made pretty much his last at-home meal for him.
Yeah, Dom was the sweetest. The whole family, just great people. And yeah, you and I were together at his house. We cooked, I think, dinner on Sunday, and he passed on Thursday.
Yeah, but not because of us. Yeah.
I hope it wasn't the dinner. God,
so Dom was just a delightful, hysterical guy, and we would go to his house very often. I would bring bread. I would bake bread and bring it over to him, and he would invite anytime you were in town. We would go over, and we'd have these enormous Sunday meals with him, and he was just such. I mean, obviously, for those of you that have never seen, because some people are too young to even know who Dom DeLuise is, but he was as funny a human being as there is on the planet. And when you were spending personal time with him, because we spent a lot of time with him, you were just astounded by how fast he was. And I think, Dean Martin, Dean Martin used him a lot. And, obviously Dean Martin had a pretty funny partner prior, right? And I think he became his favorite person. Do you have any Dom stories that pop into your head?
Oh my God. Yeah, there was a time where we were at his house, and he had these great, beautiful, big lemon trees outside of his kitchen. And I said, Dom, I know how to make limoncello, which is you take the lemon peel and you marinate it with grain alcohol and boiled sugar syrup. And I said, we should make this at your house. So we did. And a few years later, he was looking for the grater, the peeler. And there was a Spanish woman that worked in his house and helped him with the kitchen. And he said, this is what I call this, right? And I said, no. And he goes, I call this the Bobby Mallozzi because it's the only time I've ever used it. And I said, no, you don't. And he said, Leticia, bring me the Bobby Mallozzi. And she brought in the peeler.
That's hysterical. And you guys did indeed bottled it, and you made labels, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did.
And I think, okay, we'll share more. I'll post some pictures. Give me some hearts if you want to see pictures of Dom DeLuise. Yes, Teresa, his book, Fatso, one of your favorite movies. Great. Teresa in Chicago, his Eat This book. Yeah. And I tell you, we've gone to Dom's house where we walk in and there's gnocchi all over his counters, all over his kitchen counters, like 10 feet of gnocchi, and he's just making it and rolling it. And he used to be really bossy in a good way. Bobby, I need you to get me the salt, the salt with the thing. Reach your hand up, the third cabinet reach it up 5 inches. Now bend over, now bring it out into it and grab it thing. He was so used to it because he would sit in a chair and just bark these orders. And he was hysterical. And since we're talking Everyone's Raymond, I said to Ray, I go, Ray, we have to go to Dom DeLuise's house. So Ray and John Manfrotati and I all went to Dom DeLuise's house, which was phenomenal. It's especially if you're Italian and you grew up, there is no, the dearly missed person. And of course, all of his kids. Yes, sorry, I'm reading through this. Did we meet his son, Peter? Yes. All of his kids, Michael David Peter. Yes. And his wife came to your wedding. Carol went to your wedding. Okay. Now let's see. Let's go back here. Scrolling through a few more questions, Bobby, before we wrap it up. Thank you. Going to, yes, Rochester. Nice. Meredith, you lived in Syracuse for 15 years. By the way, for those of you not in the, not familiar with the U.S., Manhattan, New York City is a teeny island. And then the rest of the New York is gigantic. So when people say in Manhattan, upstate New York, sometimes they're talking about 10 miles away, Westchester or something. Schenectady is, 3 hours away, 2.5 hours away. But then you have Buffalo, which is, 5 hours away. Then Rochester, it's like Texas. It's a massive, massive state and a stunningly beautiful up in your area. And I had read somewhere, Bobby, about somehow Schenectady played a part in early television.
Yeah, the first ever national broadcast was done from WRGB here in Schenectady. Still exists. Yep. It's our CBS affiliate.
Oh, wow. And what was that broadcast? Was it anything that was it the first episode of I Love Lucy, or was it pre-war war? Yeah, pre-war war though.
That I don't know.
Bobby, here's what I'm thinking. So I usually have a Phil mug, but I have this mug which Tony DeSena gave me. Okay. Taken off of Johnny Carson's desk, and they made him in Burbank, and you can't, here we go. If you watch an episode of The Tonight Show, you will see that mug. So we have to do something like this for Everose Raymond. And so, Bobby, the next time I'm going to post some pictures of you and Dom DeLuise, of course, but you on the set, I'll scan those. But also Who's Next episode, which is a very funny episode where were you so I have great pictures of you on that, but were you seen in the episode in the background?
Yeah, I'm right next to the coffin. Right, I played the grandson of the deceased, I believe.
And but when the final cut happened, because what people don't know is in editing, Phil and Ray are editing. The director's editing. No one's going, that scene doesn't work, but Tom's friend Bobby is in the background. So if we cut that little port, they don't care. So we don't know if you're going to show up or not. So you want to, have the...
No, just happened to be that I did.
Yeah, you want to have the best shot of being on there. And Bobby, what's do you have, this is for Teresa, do you have lobster tail in your bakery? Do you have sfogliatelle?
Yeah. Teresa's from Chicago.
Yeah.
We got her out here. We got to bring her to Schenectady.
That sounds like a threat. It's a nice place. We'll go to her in Chicago. All right. Any final questions? I'm scrolling through. This is Tom Caltabiano, writer on Everose Raymond for all 9 years. We're talking to Bobby Mallozzi, who is my friend, but also was an extra. He got paid apparently $40 to appear in the background. And let's see here. Hello, Paula. Yes, the bakery looks nice. Yes, Paula in Canada. Yes, great, great, great. All right, Bobby, next time I want to see some props that you have. Right? Didn't you
Sure.
say you have, what do you have? The origami?
The little origami red dragon that Marie made on the cruise ship.
Nice. Right? Deborah's
the golf cap. I think it says "I love birdies."
Oh, that's from Fun with Deborah. And I will say this I know, Bobby. You have, so in the back, and this is as inside as you can get, back by the craft services, somebody, and it might have been Rhonda from Props, got into the habit of posting photos, and then people would write funny caption under that weekly photo, and they're random photos of Ray or people on the crew, it didn't matter. And most of the things were written by Ray. Ray would just write funny captions, and you have that collection of Everose Raymond photos with captions written by mostly Ray. All right.
Yeah. Someone had put them in a book of some kind. Yeah.
So next time you're on, we're going to show that. We're going to take a look at that because that's about as cool a thing as possible. All right, and then I'm going to look into getting you the $40 that you weren't paid for the episode. Who's Next? I'll get back to you. Yeah. and then we'll talk more. But overall, Bobby, you would recommend being an extra on a show to somebody?
Oh yeah. If you're a fan of TV, sure. Great experience, great memories.
Yeah, but it is a 12-hour day just for the people, because people are.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to make a living out of it.
Yeah, and yet some people do, and it is a path in. By the way, it is a path for actors. You're at least on the set. You do learn how it works, and if you're lucky enough to watch Ever's Raymond, it's a very well-run show by Phil, right, and Ray, and you're seeing the way it's run.
A well-oiled machine, yeah.
All right, Bobby, save some cannoli for me. I will see you hopefully again soon, and thank you for sharing everything.
All right.
All right. Talk to you soon.